For the final time this summertime, welcome to Highmark Stadium on the south side of Pittsburgh, PA. We're here by the Monongahela River. Leading into the fall, it's been an exciting summer, though, for Pittsburgh Riverhounds Soccer Club. They host Louisville City FC tonight as part of a 3-game homestand. And even though it's not fall yet, plenty on the line. It's a battle for second place in the Eastern Conference. I'm Matt Geico alongside Paul Child. And Paul, we have a couple of big-time goal scorers, one on each side of the field tonight. Start with Louisville City and the top man in the entire league from London, Cameron Lancaster, 18 goals. And as you see here, he's got a little bit of creativity to go with some raw power.
No, he's been very, very strong, and he's dangerous whenever he has the ball, and his free kicks are obviously, they've got to be watched with these free kicks. Any free kicks around the top of the box, as you can see, he can place them wherever he needs to.
8 goals in August. That made him the USL's Player of the Month for the second time. He also had it in April. So red hot to start, and he's picking it up again as Lou City makes a drive for the playoffs for the 4th consecutive year. As for Pittsburgh, well, we saw it again last week when Nico Brett scores, Paul Child. Pittsburgh Riverhounds win the game. They are now 9-0 when Nico pops one in. He has 14 on the year, and he snapped a 4-game goalless drought last week against Bethlehem. 9 of his 14 have been right here at Highmark Stadium.
No, he's very hot when he's playing at home, Matt, and he's always very, very strong anywhere inside the box. And as you can see, sometimes he's even strong as he gets into the top of the 18. He can hit some great shots, and he's dangerous. And I should think he's looking forward to tonight. He wants to go against the top goal scorer, and he wants to prove he's one of the better players. So that would be my goal if I was him.
Nico had 7 goals 2 years ago for Portland Timbers, 2 out of the league last year, but it's been a big-time resurgence for him in Pittsburgh, where he played his college soccer, in fact. And we talked about the standings. You see that line below Louisville City at 4. That indicates who has a home game in the first round of the USL Cup playoffs. And as you see, if Louisville wins tonight, if they get all 3 points, Paul, they'll be in second. So, yes, plenty at stake. And that 2 spot especially crucial, because then you get 2 home playoff games if you win the first.
Yeah, this is a massive game tonight. I'm really looking forward to it. 2 really strong teams, Matt, and both really battling right at the top in back and forth. And now Louisville's dropped a little bit, but it changes so much. It's just getting to those pressure games right now.
Outside of Cincinnati, a ton up for grabs there. As you see, the top 6 really could be very different in the matter of, well, a couple of hours. We'll see a great defending team in Pittsburgh, best defense in the USL against one of the top offenses in Louisville City. Back for the kickoff after this on ESPN+.
You're a survivor.
I am a survivor, just like you're going to be a survivor, too.
Absolutely. I had the MRI when I went back and met with my gynecologist. She said, I want to err on the side of caution. One thing rolled after another. You know, I had the surgeries. The people down there just make it so much more doable.
Western Pennsylvania's top-rated health system for women's health is Allegheny Health Network.
Years, you've done right by investing in your home. And now, you can use that equity to borrow money for the things you need. With a low 1.99% APR and no fees, you can apply for a home equity loan online and use the money to upgrade to that minivan, make home improvements, or finance college. At Clearview, we can help you find ways to use the equity in your home for more important things. Let us help. Visit us online for more information. Clearview Federal Credit Union, the next generation of personal banking.
The Riverhounds Technical Training Academy is back this winter at the AHN Sports Complex at Cool Springs. The 15-session program runs from December to March and is loaded with skills development taught by professional players from around the world. Registration opens in August. Sessions begin December 1st. Find out more by emailing wintertraining@riverhounds.com or by calling 412-325-7238.
It's our second top 4 matchup in the USL Eastern Conference this week. Pittsburgh and Louisville, 13 wins apiece, separated by just 2 points in the Eastern Conference standings. I'm Matt Geico with Paul Child. We are just about set to go at midfield. Let's take a look at the Lou City starting 11, though. Gregory Ranjitsingh, the keeper, he's played every minute of every game. I don't even know why they have a backup keeper in Louisville. And there you see at the top of the formation, Cameron Lancaster, 18 goals, and the Lou City is 8-0-3 when he puts one in the back of the net. As for Pittsburgh, the big news is between the sticks, Paul, because Dan Lind is back after missing 5 matches with facial fractures. He has a clear plastic mask on, so the man in the mask between the sticks for the Riverhounds, and they're glad to see him there.
Yeah, and it looks like there's going to be, they're playing with, they're showing that what we're seeing now is 5-3-3, or 5-2-3, sorry, and that can change right away, but we'll see how it goes.
Well, speaking of formations, plenty of talk in Louisville, and by the way, their supporters group, the Coopers, is here. If you hear some banging of the drums, it's not just the Steel Army tonight. We have a nice matchup in the stands as well, but plenty of talk among the Lou City diehards because of the coaching change. When James O'Connor went down to Orlando City at the end of June, John Hackworth took over. They're now playing 4 in the back, are the defending USL champs, as this ball goes out to Lou City over on the far side in front of the Monongahela River. Used to play 3, now they play 4, maybe a little more conservative than they used to be under James O'Connor. John Hackworth, the former MLS coach for the Philadelphia Union, and most recently with the under-17 U.S. national team.
Yeah, they're definitely playing with 4 in the back, it looks like right now.
Brett to Parks, and Ranjitsingh has to make a save, and he jumps on the rebound. How many times this year, Paul, have the Hounds come roaring out of the gate in the opening minutes?
They've done this, and Parks has been on the end of the ball quite often, and been very unfortunate not to slot a few extra goals. Absolutely.
We are still awaiting the first minute goal, but the Riverhounds have had 4 or 5 gold-plated chances, and that one of the better ones in the mix. Parks and Brett working together, the 2 Jamaican forwards. Here's a giveaway. The Hounds a little sloppy as Illich tried to serve it in but couldn't do it. And it's a tight field here at Pittsburgh. Louisville's used to that at Louisville Slugger Field, which is also the home of a AAA baseball team, the Louisville Bats. Here it's artificial surface, though, one of the few in the USL's Eastern Conference. So the matches are a little quicker paced.
Yeah, you get some strange bounces sometimes, as we've seen in some games, Matt, and can really mess some defenders up when especially when the ball's coming out of the air and bounces, awkwardly over their head or spins differently for shots. So the Hounds practice on it and play on it all the time, so they should be good on it. And here's a great opportunity again.
Parks to Brett, but Lou City, wow, they surrounded him with 3 men in a hurry inside the 18. Brett with 14 goals, and Romeo Parks scored for the first time since June, last time out against Bethlehem. Not only did Brett break his 4-game goalless streak, which is a long time for him this season, but Parks got back on the board, and here is Romeo.
Yeah.
The rangy Jamaican forward stumbles down just as he crossed into the area. This will be a goal kick for Louisville after all that with Szymanski pressuring. A side story for this evening, second time this year that Pittsburgh has played Lou City, of course, and it's the second meeting between 2 players who were dynamic together at Robert Morris University. We're looking at Nico Brett, of course, and Devin Speedy Williams, his Jamaican countryman, wears number 80 for Lou City. Speedy played for Red Bulls too, and now making a home in Louisville. They're great friends, and really cool to see them get together and excel, and now playing on opposite sides of the pitch.
Hopefully they're not too good of friends, and I'm sure one wants to outdo the other, but we'll see. But that is neat that they get to play against each other, and did go to college and play in Robert Morris University.
And speaking of local college, Dan Lind back between the 6, as we talked about. Lind, the all-time leader in goalkeeper minutes played for the Pitt Panthers, University of Pittsburgh. Lind missed 5 matches, as we mentioned at the top of the broadcast here. Lind, the leader for the USL's Golden Glove Award. As you take a look at Speedy Williams on your screen now, Joe Greenspan clears this ball out of the Pittsburgh area.
It's scrappy at the moment, Matt. It's kind of like they're whacking balls and just making sure nobody's getting caught in defense. And Louisville just sending long, high balls into the area in the Riverhounds end, and Riverhounds doing a very similar thing.
Well, I mentioned this is the second top 4 matchup in the East this week. Louisville City played an interesting one against Cincinnati. It was delayed on Saturday after 33 minutes. They finished it on Wednesday night down in Louisville. Ended up being a 1-0 win for Cincy. And now Lou City, interestingly enough, they've won 4 in a row on the road, but they just went winless at home in 3 in a row. So they've treaded some water under John Hackworth, but still in the mix for, at the very least, a top 2 spot, which they can jump into with all 3 points tonight at Pittsburgh.
Yeah, this is a super important game, as we said earlier to each other. And I saw Bob Lilly down there with the team, and here go the Hounds down here this right side, which is a good combination here with usually Dover and Forbes.
Yes, that is Forbes, who is joining him right on the touchline now is Forbes, and he gets this ball from Jordan Dover. Canardo Forbes, 8 assists on the year, wearing the captain's armband tonight. Kevin Kerr is still out due to injury. Forbes works across right in front there and cleared aside by Paco Craig.
And we've seen that coming together too, haven't we, Matt? Forbes getting these balls across and Nico Brett making that run to the near post most times when Forbes has the ball on the right side and pings the ball across, because we know Nico loves those little flicks, touches, and redirection of shots on goal. And here he is again. He's got ball now.
Nifty player, yes, as he tries to cut in, and that'll go off his foot last. He slaps the turf a bit in frustration, but he's causing some trouble for the Lou City backline right away.
Yeah, I think he's frustrated. He didn't have such a good first touch here. You're going to see the replay because he did get kind of chopped down. And if the ball had been closer to him, I think he would have got a free kick or a penalty kick.
He was working against Kyle Smith. So many of these Louisville players have plenty of tenure in Louisville. It's not like the Riverhounds only brought back a couple of returners from 2017, and it's because of the success. We're talking about the defending USL Cup champions, the defending Eastern Conference regular season champions. In fact, Lou City, right from the start, they came into the league in 15. They have not finished lower than 2nd in the East in all 3 of those seasons. Goal kick Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that was a wasted throw there. Player receiving it, I don't know who it was. I couldn't see him from here, but wasn't ready for it. And Thomas just let that run right out for a goal kick.
Louisville in its signature road look. They haven't changed their look at all since coming into the league 3 years ago. Gold on white. The Riverhounds go on with the black uniforms, their 3rd kit, if you will. It worked so well last week. They scored 4 against Bethlehem, just the 2nd time all year they've gotten 4.
Yeah, that was a nice surprise.
Yeah, it definitely was for the fans in the house especially. The only previous time they scored 4 was a game that was moved from Toronto to Pittsburgh back in early April. Only a handful of fans were able to adjust with that schedule change. As Nico Brett looks for this, he can't get around. Alexi Suahi, the Frenchman, in the middle of that Louisville back line. Here's Ray Lee off a Louisville leg, throw in for the Hounds.
Yeah, just going back to that game last week, it was a very entertaining game. I mean, the Hounds played a very different kind of a style that we haven't seen. Very offensive and created even 2 or 3 more chances that they couldn't put away.
Remember Joe Holland? Yeah, he was robbed on the doorstep there. It could have been 5-1. Holland in his first action since May. And the Hounds were able to spread the wealth around, get some players in late. Thomas Vankiazil leads the Riverhounds in minutes. Over to Dover. Knocked it off the backside of Oscar Jimenez, and that's a corner for the Riverhounds.
And this is where we've been seeing Joe Greenspan, you know, coming up here and being really dangerous in the box for the last 2 or 3 games, and maybe he'll keep his scoring streak alive.
He scored in 2 of the last 3 as Big Joe, 6'6", central defender, both on set pieces. So here's Ben Zemansky, 133 MLS games to his credit. Puts it right there on Greenspan's forehead, but he couldn't direct it on target. Nearly called it, Paul.
Yeah.
Greenspan had to twist his body there. He ran into some resistance right around the penalty spot.
He's going to be a real threat every time we get a dead ball situation or a corner kick up there as well now, Matt, because he's good. He's built his confidence. He knows he can get some shots on goal, and he scored a couple in the last 2 games, so he's got to feel good about himself.
Those 2 goals, both headers, both off set pieces, are the only set piece goals for the Riverhounds all season long. It's been a spot where they can afford to continue to pour him in. As you saw, Cameron Lancaster on the Louisville side, he's been their primary weapon there. He just lets it fly.
Oh, Zemansky there was a little bit unlucky. He really read the interception well in there and didn't give a good ball off.
Niall McCabe looking for Lancaster, slicing through the Riverhounds back line, but could not connect with that ball. Jordan Dover's on it here in front of McCabe. Dishes it on back to Vanke Azil and right to Dan Lind. Lind has 11 clean sheets this season, 1 behind the league lead. He already has the Hounds single season record, even before missing those 5 games due to injury. Forbes, can he keep it? He can.
Yeah.
Brett's on the run here against Paco Craig. Brett and does not get the benefit of the whistle, does Nico, right there in the corner.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised at Forbes even keeping that ball in there, Matt. It was going out. It was pretty obvious, and I think everybody let down, especially on the Louisville team, and he kept it in play.
I talked about the 4-game win streak on the road for Louisville. They have 18 goals in those 4 games, including 6 at Richmond a couple of weeks ago. Meanwhile, the Hounds have given up the fewest goals at home in the USL. So, yeah. Unstoppable force versus a movable object. There's Zemansky with a fine touch to Brett. He wants to hook up with Parks, who finds it before the byline. Parks there, bodied up by Kyle Smith. Romeo Parks has his cross nick off the boot of Smith. Second corner for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Parks looking good there on the left side again. We sort of said that last week, and really creating some chances from over there and taking players on and getting some great crosses. And there he got a deflection, so we got a corner kick, and here we see Greenspan again. And
Vanke Azil is up 2.
Yeah, everybody's in the box.
He scored a header goal in U.S. Open Cup play.
There's a big...
To the back post, or trying, was Zemansky, but there's Greg Ranjitsingh, a former Mercer College star. He has been with Lou City since the start.
A little bit too close to the goalkeeper with that cross. He needs to get it out a little bit further around the penalty spot, and that's where your keeper hesitates to come out and win those kind of balls.
Keeper to keeper. Ranjitsingh, native of Canada, but has Trinidad and Tobago descent. He's played for, or he's been on the bench, pardon me, for some TNT international matches. And Dan Lind, native of New York, will hammer this one skyward toward the Steel Army. Again, the Hounds are playing from left to right on your device screen. Tonight on ESPN Plus in Pittsburgh, PA. This is Jordan Dover. Wanted to break down McCabe. Hit Forbes, but too much on that ball.
Forbes saw Dover getting the ball there and was making this outside run, so they want to combine every chance they get, because they do cause some problems for the defenders, and he just didn't get a good touch on that ball at all.
Really cool atmosphere tonight with both the Coopers dressed in purple supporting Lou City and the Steel Army doing their usual thing. We don't often see it. Shortest drive from a USL opponent, or from here to a USL opponent, is about 3 or 4 hours down to Harrisburg. So it's not like Lou City and Cincy where they have that short drive between. You can get some of those visiting fans in here more easily. Vanke Azil, good ball. Headed away from Parks by Suwahi. Now helping out there is Kyle Smith. But Ray Lee, the Riverhounds wing back, tries to pin it down, and he does. He locates Ben Zemansky, and Pittsburgh recycles a bit. Toby Adewale, second-year Riverhound. Kind of a sketchy ball, but it does find its way through over here in front of us to Jordan Dover.
And there goes Forbes down the line.
Forbes making a break for it. Oh, he wanted to flick that one by the Lou City captain, Paolo Del Piccolo, and could not.
He got his foot stuck between his legs there and clipped him, and obviously went down straight away when he felt that.
Second foul against the Riverhounds. Farhad Dodko, the head referee, hasn't had much to do here so far. Paco Craig clears it past Brett over to Suwahi. And Suwahi changes the field of play here to McCabe. McCabe to Jimenez, backpedaling, and a hopeful ball there that'll be headed off the pass by Greenspan. Bunky Azil turns and wallops one through to the center line, but it's off of Forbes and into touch. Right in front of John Hackworth, 48-year-old coach from the state of Florida. He opposes Bob Lilly, the 51-year-old from New Jersey. Lilly's first year in Pittsburgh has been a raving success. He brought Dan Lind with him, who just makes that play over at the edge of his area. He brought several hounds with him, in fact. Both wingbacks, Ray Lee and Dover, Canardo Forbes.
Yeah, he's done a good job, a really good job here, and made this team come together and be very, very strong defensively and now starting offensively at the right time.
Todd Pratzner, reserve defender, also played for Lilly last year in Rochester. A couple members of Lou City have served under Lilly, if you will, back in the glory days of the Rhinos. The Rhinos won it all in 15, and Bob's got quite the reputation in this league. The header from Parks finds Forbes, but a heavy touch betrayed him for a bit. He fights hard to win it back, and it's Parks to Lee, looking for Brett, breaking into the box, but not to be. Greenspan on the step up. Lee rises high. Smith, bit of a half bicycle there to keep it out of danger for Lou City. The Hounds have been on the front foot so far in the opening 15 minutes, but it just takes one touch for a guy like Lancaster, who's lurking. But the Riverhounds break that up with help from Toby Adewale's head.
Yeah, that was a good, obviously Lynn gave Greenspan the shout there to get it ball back to him, because he had really nowhere else to go and he could have caused some problems, but good communication by the defender and the keeper.
Last week, the Hounds had 24 shots. That's a season high by 4. They really tore up that Bethlehem Steel defensive unit. And Bethlehem does give up the most shots in the league, so part of that's a result of the opponent. But give the Hounds plenty of credit for turning on the attack when they haven't done it much this year. 2 goals in the first half, 2 in the second half. Bunky Azil chests it down clinically. And the rookie from France scans his options.
Yeah, he had plenty of time there to really look around. He really had nobody really moving for him.
Bunky Azil, diagonal ball here is a good one to Lee.
Nice
Fine
switch.
header to Zemansky and right back to Ray Lee. Overran it a bit, and did he handle it? He did. Well, there's one of those funny bounces you talked about, Paul, early on the turf. It can really check up when it has some spin, and it fooled even a guy like Lee, who's practiced and played all year on this pitch.
Yeah, you just never know sometimes, and it just came up and caught him on the arm, and he couldn't get out of the way of it.
Ray Lee had a beautiful assist to his fellow wingback Jordan Dover last week. It was a week for breakthroughs at home for the Riverhounds against Bethlehem. We had Dover's first goal since April, Parks' first since June, as I mentioned. Same deal for Forbes. Canardo Forbes, a crack from outside the box. Connected late in that first half to put the Riverhounds back on top. Can Lou City chase this one down? They will. It's McCabe, 4th-year Lou City player.
Yeah, did well there in that situation and saw the open players and switched the play right away.
Much like Bethlehem last week, Lou City's got plenty of players who can hurt you, but there's a takeaway
That
for
was
Canardo
trouble,
Forbes. Brett's making a run, slots it through, does Forbes to Brett, open net, and it's clear off the line. Corner kick, Riverhounds, but that close to a goal. Sawahi, I believe, was the man who saved the day. Might have been Craig. We'll take a look at the replay, though. Brett disgusted with himself. He could have had the opener.
He should have got that ball first time, I think, Matt. He didn't. He took that extra touch, and that's where he got the, help the defenders to get better in position to get that out of the net.
I think it was number 5, Paco Craig, who just barely bracing himself against the post at the end.
Yeah.
Knocked it away from danger, into the 6 from Zemansky off the corner, then gets it right back. He wants to go back post. Greenspan hits it. Bunky Azil's flick goes over the net. That close.
Boy, that was a great opportunity there. Just needed to get a toe on the end of that going down instead of up in the air, and that would have been in the back of the net. But Hounds really putting some pressure on right there. 3 or 4 chances, creating havoc for the defenders of Louisville and the keeper.
Just going back to that Brett chance initially, you feel like he should have let it go quicker.
I thought
it might have made the difference.
I thought he might have been able to, you know, it's easy from watching up here to say that, but I think he could have hit it with the outside of his right foot around the keeper. That one touch he took was just a little bit too far. If he'd have been, you know, a foot closer to him, he'd probably put that one in the back of the net, but it gave the defender time to get into the net and clear that out.
So Nico Brett inches away from his 15th of the season. He's trying to catch Cameron Lancaster. Brett has moved to 5th in the USL in goal scoring, and he nearly got on the end of that ball. The Riverhounds are creating turnovers. They're pressing hard, and Louis City coach John Hackworth talked about what his team was going to have to be ready for before this match. It's high-paced, and the Hounds, well, for lack of a better word, they hound you when you have it back in your own half of the surface, and they don't make it easy on you.
And they were doing that last week when they got the 4 goals too. If you remember, Matt, they were just putting pressure on every chance they had and making it very, very difficult for the players they were playing against. And here come Lou.
A bit of possession.
Really
Jimenez knocks it into the box. George Davis, the 4th, longtime USL veteran, unable to catch up. That came after Speedy Williams generated a bit of possession for Louisville. And we'll go back and take another glance at that. And there you see Brett pulling it around Ranjitsingh, who was aggressive. He thought he had to make that move. Did Ranjitsingh, and then Brett decided to try to tuck it around him and maybe take a few more touches.
Yeah, he had to really stretch for that shot and reach out for it, so he couldn't get a lot of power on it.
That close to another assist for Kenardo Forbes. It would have been his 9th. He already has set a career high. Brett's looking up in the air. The flag did not go up.
No.
And an errant header there.
Well, that's that rule.
Blue City made a hash of it a bit.
I think that the linesman was waiting for Nico Brett to go touch it, and then he would have called it offside. But Nico realized he was in an offside position and just let it go. And now we've got another corner kick, another dangerous situation for Louisville. And Hounds all pushing up here, ready to try and capitalize on this one.
It's on Ben Zemanski's right foot. He was looking for Greenspan again, the big target. And Lou City wants to get a throw, and they will, just barely guiding it out over the sideline near the corner flag. We're the defending USL Cup champs. Parks taps it down. Forbes and Jordan Dover, edge of the 18. Parks joins the party over here on this side. He's been mostly on the left to start this one. Bunky is too hard and away from Dover, who set up shop. He wasn't breaking to that ball. Miscommunication.
Yeah, it was a little bit. I thought Zvankiel could have crossed that because Zemanski was in the middle. There was only one player in there because all the defenders had already got back after the corner kick. So maybe that was something that he saw and he thought that could create something down in this corner, but didn't give a very good quality pass. So
far, it's the opposite of the team's first meeting when Louisville dominated the ball. Riverhounds, though, came out of Louisville Slugger Field on June 27th with a 1-0 victory. And prior to this week, when Cincy pulled off defeat, that was the only time all year that a team had gone in there and beaten Lou City via the shutout. Kenardo Forbes scored the only goal. It was a greasy one through some traffic. But that was a huge win early in the season for this Hounds team that was trying to establish itself. Now, it's been near the top of the standings all year, and teams are hunting them. We've seen that in recent matches.
See, Ray Lee there got pulled back, and
I thought so too, but no call.
Kind of got the ball again, and then another player got involved with it, and that's where the referee, you think, would have called a delayed call, but he didn't give any call.
Riverhounds are unbeaten in 5 at home, 3-0-2. But they've never beaten Louisville here in 5 tries, 0-4-1. They've won twice down there. One of those weird quirks in the all-time series. Louisville City, they came in ready to compete in 2015. I remember the first couple of times they came up here, they got a tie and a win. And that'll be a foul called against the Riverhounds. Mohamed Dabo always bringing the steal in the midfield, but that one was a little too powerful of a tackle, apparently, as Ilya Ilic, the Serbian native, goes down hard. 3 fouls against the Hounds, none yet called against Lou City.
Yeah, this is a good situation for Louisville right now, and pushing players into the box, and we'll see how the Hounds handle this one. The referee put that line a long way from that ball.
He sure did. It's a good 15 yards, it seems like, almost.
It does, yeah. I think he lost count when he was striding it out.
There you have it. It's a little bit outside of the scoring area. Maybe not, as it bounces right in. And in hot pursuit was George Davis.
And I think Lancaster was looking for a little flick there if he could get one, and I don't think he could get a touch on it.
Cameron Lancaster is a great story in and of himself. He made one appearance in the English Premier League for Tottenham Hotspur, scored the winner in stoppage time. Never played in the Premier League again. Figure that one out, right?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense, does it?
You wonder what happened there, but he's been in America for the last couple of seasons. And with Louisville City the whole way since 2015. Greenspan ran right through the back.
Oh, yeah.
Of that man Lancaster, and that's an easy call for referee Dudko.
And I'm sure you're going to see a few more of those, as long as he doesn't get it's a 50-50 kind of thing. He's lucky he didn't get a yellow card, but it didn't look so vicious that it should have been a yellow card. And that's what you want to do as a defender, is letting the top forwards know they're in a game and you're going to get pounded every chance they get. So I think you'll see some more.
Oscar Jimenez will be the trigger man. Louisville's number 19 leads the team in chances created. Undoubtedly a few of them from the restart. Here he goes again. Similar type ball, but Ray Lee finds it there for Pittsburgh. Lee having some trouble suddenly. Couldn't gather it completely. Mohamed Dabo gets help from Vunky Azil, who jams it up the pitch. So Louisville, off 2 restarts, has made some things happen, and maybe they're starting to feel like they're getting into this one. It is a short turnaround for them. And they had to take the field on Saturday and at midweek, even though technically it was just one match. So the rain puts them in a difficult spot. The rain from last weekend, that is. Beautiful night tonight in Pittsburgh. Dabo serves to Toby Adewale, but away from Ray Lee, who tried to backtrack and could not.
Yeah,
toss to the foot of George Davis, and he can't handle.
Wasn't a very good ball at all there, and kind of non-communication. Ray was looking there, he was wide open, and just a bad pass.
Not the prettiest match so far. Teams banging it around a little bit.
Yeah.
The Riverhounds have had the better of the opportunities, though, and they nearly had a goal when Brett fired one toward the empty net after rounding Ranjit Singh. But Paco Craig, give him credit for a save on the shot on target by the Riverhounds' top gun.
And now you can see where the formation here, we've got Matt, they're playing with 5 in the back, and Louisville got 4 players up front right now looking for these long balls, and the Hounds obviously have to counter that, and that's why we're seeing a lot of long balls at the moment, it seems. It's like
corner kick, by the way, here. Illich won his debate with the referee. Riverhounds en masse disagree with that, as you might imagine. This is the first corner for the Lou City outfit. Jimenez to the flag to take it.
Yeah, Bob Lilly not happy with the referee for that call either.
And it goes by Oscar. Will have the right-footed try as the Hounds try to defend the house. They gave up their first half goal at home last week against Bethlehem, but they were able to rebound and win 4-1.
Louisville really crowding the keeper on this corner kick. Now taking a short one. Now
some deception. Jimenez back post, bouncing around.
Ray Lee got it out there just enough, and there goes Parks.
Parks knocked it off the backside of one of the backtracking defenders. The Hounds survive again. Another restart situation. That's 3 they've had to try to keep away from the net, and they have for the most part. Dan Lind, slight mishandle, but the Hounds' #1 keeper slugs it away from his goal. And Jimenez handed it right over to Canardo Forbes. He has Dover out to his right, elects to hold,
Ray Lee
slow it down.
Open.
You called it there, Paul. There's the ball right on his chest. Ray Lee, the left footer. Oh. Right in, and Swaki got in the way. Lee takes it back from Dabo. Ray Lee crosses once more and headed out by Swahi. Corner number 4, or pardon 5 for the Riverhounds.
Yeah, they've got That's a lot of corners in this amount of time, into 28 minutes into the game. 5 corner kicks. Don't see that too often from the Hounds, and really law of averages. They've got to capitalize on one of these, I hope.
Greenspan and Brett and Parks and Von Kiesel, they're all bunched in front of the 6-yard box. Ranjitsingh looks at them with a wary eye. Ben Zemanski will take this kick eventually as soon as Niall McCabe finishes his conversation with the referee Farhad Dotko. Okay, Zemanski's hands in the air. And it's back post and an easy one for Ranjitsingh. An in-swinger and a floater, really.
Yeah, they got to adjust that corner kick. It's getting really too close, and the keeper's just coming out and picking them off easily. So they've got to do something a little bit different. Maybe the next one, take a short corner kick, which would really catch Louisville by surprise.
Throw in for the Hounds. Or actually, a foul was called there. No, it'll be a throw in. My fault. They're just bringing the throw well up the field. So advantage Pittsburgh on that decision. The assistant referees are Trent Robert Van Heidsma and Alicia Messer, pardon me. First time we've seen either of those. In fact, all 3 are fresh faces at Highmark this year. The head man and the 2 on the sidelines. Dabo, Mohamed Dabo from Senegal finds Tommy V. Right up the middle with it. Parks on the run.
It's funky on a little bit dreaming there. Got to be a real perfect ball. If you're going to knock it that long, then Parks is going to get on the end of it. Right weight and everything. But
Louisville once again on the back line here. The throw-in from Jimenez came through to Illich. George Davis, wearing number 22, working against Ray Lee. Davis swatted one in front, or tried to, but Adewale had that one rather easily. Brett is getting Swahi riding up his back at the midfield stripe. The ball bounces in Pittsburgh's favor, but Forbes, a rare ill-advised pass to Dover, and then Dover commits the foul on top of that.
Yeah, he was a little bit late coming in there, and actually he was lucky he didn't catch the player worse than he did, because then I would imagine that would have been a yellow card immediately, but kind of just a split second late.
Now 6 fouls to none. Riverhounds have conceded all 6 in this one. Served in, back to the goal, and a score!
Dear.
Incredible goal, and Louisville is on top. And that is Lancaster with his 19th, just turned and cocked the gun and fired, and he beat Lind inside the left post.
Boy, really well taken there by Lancaster there. Just held the ball, leaned against the defender, and got a great touch on the inside, and then just turned and hit it and caught Lind.
We're going to have a couple of looks at this one. Paco Craig with the free kick. And against Adewale, Lancaster pinpoint accuracy with that turn, and the left-footed finish extends his lead for the USL's Golden Boot.
It might have gone in off the post, I think. He was really, really close to it, and that's why Lind couldn't get across far enough to get a hand on it. But Lancaster really doing well there, leaning way back into the defender and making it very, very hard for him to even get around him.
That's the first time in the run of play that the Hounds have conceded in the first half here this season. They gave up a penalty kick goal last week to the Bethlehem's James Chambers. But this one, well, it'll be on the highlight reels for sure, and not just because the league's top scorer put it in. That was a beauty, and Adewale was being as physical as he could be in that spot, it appeared.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
Lancaster to turn.
You can't. Yeah, you're kind of like limited to what you can do, because you never know what these referees are going to call, and didn't want to give a penalty, and Lancaster just taking advantage of it completely.
Cameron Lancaster, as advertised early in this one, both he and Brett have had tremendous chances, but Cameron leads the personal battle 1-0 over Nico. To this point, now the Hounds work from behind. It's the first time they've had to play from behind at home this early. Giving up a couple of late ones here.
Yeah, it is strange for them, so we'll see what it does and see how they change and pick up the game now. And try and get back into this one.
34th minute, 3 minutes past the strike from Lancaster, which has this crowd quiet. Saturday night in Pittsburgh, I mentioned at the top, our last official match of the summer. Plenty of excitement coming in the fall, though. The Hounds can't clinch a playoff spot this weekend, but they can come pretty close, depending on what Penn FC does against North Carolina tomorrow. Lou City looking for more. Lancaster, quick turn again, matched up against Toby Adewale. Sliding through Dabo to win the ball for Pittsburgh, but right back to Paco Craig. And Craig's had quite the match so far. Saved a goal, and his free kick leads to Lancaster's strike. Riverhounds counter.
Here goes Parks down his line.
Had it close to his body, now drills it up ahead. Can he catch up to this final touch? He will. Bends it in. Brett is denied and stopped again. And he thinks it might have been handled. Was that Speedy Williams coming back? I think it was his old friend from Robert Morris getting in the way.
Boy, that was a great opportunity right there, and keeper did really well on the first one, I think.
Absolutely. Ranjit Singh give him full marks for the save. And how about the cross from Parks? You don't think about him as a setup man too much, but
no,
he played that role extremely well.
This is where that's got to be a bullet down hard and low. Once it comes off the ground, the keeper's got a chance. That ball's got to be hit down, and it's probably in the back of the net. But he got a save, and they kept it alive and kept it out of there. 3
shots on target for Nico Brett. None of them in the goal. That's a rarity in and of itself. And 2 of those saves have been made by outfield players, if you will.
Yeah.
We've seen Paco Craig, and now maybe not so good friends anymore. Speedy Williams was the man who slid down. Incredible. And the Riverhounds are on the losing end of those close calls all 3 times.
Yeah, you'd like to see one of those go in, because then the pressure starts to build a little bit. When they're not going in, you start wondering what's happening here, you know. And you know what, the referee's done a lot of talking to these players, one of theirs, and now to Zvonky O'Neill.
Tommy V has had 1 game suspended due to yellow card accumulation. He has 6 on the year to lead this club. Oscar Jimenez couldn't get that one into the box. The Hounds go again. You've got to say it, the Riverhounds have done almost everything they can on the attack to at least get 1 here, if not a couple. But as of right now, they trail at 1-0. I'm Matt Geica, Paul Childs alongside from Highmark Stadium in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. 2 teams with 13 wins apiece. They're not going to catch Cincinnati, but they have a chance to finish top 2 as Forbes gave that up.
Yeah, that was a strange decision on Forbes' part. Zvonky O'Neill's taking off down the right side here. He looked like the obvious play, and maybe he was trying to catch the defenders worrying about him, but gave a pretty poor pass to Dover, I think it was.
I believe it was Jordan Dover, the back, but he's almost playing further up the pitch at times when the Riverhounds have possession than Forbes. So even though it is 5 across the back for Pittsburgh, that can very quickly turn into an attacking look. Jimenez will throw here. There you see Lou City unbeaten when scoring first, 11-0-2. The Riverhounds, meanwhile, are 12-1-2 in those situations. 2 teams that know how to protect for the most part. Pittsburgh has shown some leaks now in the last few weeks. They've given up leads in 4 straight matches coming into this one, and now they trail. So again, like I said, right after they fell behind, Paul, it'll be interesting to watch both now and after the half to see how the formation changes, how their mentality changes, or if they just keep things the same and figure that they're playing pretty well.
Well, I think they're going to do that, Matt, because they created the chances. There's no doubt about that. They've been very unfortunate, and you know, you got to give Louisville some credit. The players have really worked hard to keep that ball out of the net. The goalkeeper, the defenders, and making it very, very difficult for the Hounds right now.
And you can't say the wrong guys had the looks either. Brett all 3 times with the best opportunities. Getting toward the end of the first half here as that ball sails out. A reminder that Select is the official soccer ball of the USL. For the latest Select products and special offers, visit selectsportamerica.com and get free shipping on orders over $50. Header by Del Piccolo. He hasn't had many touches tonight. Usually he runs the show, or one of the showrunners. for Lou City. Parks ran over Speedy Williams. That draws the call. Still no fouls as far as I can tell against Lou City, or pardon me, just one on the board. And Louisville, one of the more disciplined teams in the league, they do not concede many fouls.
Well, looking for this long ball in again, and
this is a liner, and Dover prevents that from getting any further. Forbes cuts back against the grain, but he has his play intercepted by Del Piccolo. Captain against captain there. Greenspan powers it out. Brett was apparently offside. So says the assistant referee Van Heidsma in front of the Lou City bench. Craig the give to Sawahi. Lou City working with a 1-0 lead on the road. Looking to make it 5 in a row to the good away from Louisville Slugger Field. And we played up the home field advantage, and how important that is going into the playoffs. But for Louisville right now, that thing is turned on its ear.
Yeah, really.
Illich, a quick ball. He wanted to connect with Lancaster. Ilya Illich then nearly runs down Romeo Parks. He gets whistled there. Illich with 10 goals and 8 assists. The 27-year-old. The nation of Serbia. Belgrade to be exact. Dover's looking for the give back from Forbes, but that was closed off. Del Piccolo all over him. Forbes again blanketed here on the touchline. Lancaster chipped in.
Yeah, Forbes isn't kind of connecting at the moment, it seems to me, Matt. It's not, you know, his usual assisting and giving some really good 1-2s, and especially down the line with Dover. He's kind of, every time he has a chance, he seems to turn back and go back into defense more than go and attack.
And on the counter, he's been dangerous, but you're right. When the Riverhounds have to build it up, he hasn't found much traction here on this right side. Williams played it right into the body of Ben Zemansky. The Hounds have 3 and now 4 on the counter.
Ben's going to switch it.
He does pull back. And here is Forbes, edge of the 18. Can he turn on the attack here? Cuts it back, lets one fly. Blocked by McCabe, corner kick Hounds.
And we know he can hit him from there too, because he did last week, and actually he was further away outside the box. But if he can get the opportunity and get that ball back onto his right foot, we know he can really get some power.
6-2 the advantage in corners for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Forbes cutting this way and that. Zemansky again will handle low one. Maybe mishit that, but he gets a gift. He gets a second try at it after Jimenez put it past the end line.
This is where he's got to get this ball on that penalty spot, between the 6-yard box and the penalty spot, because that's where it's going to be the most dangerous, and the keeper's not going to. He's already nearly 3 or 4 yards off his line.
Another low-driven ball, headed clear by Smith. Out it goes. The Riverhounds will have to try from the left flank now. Dabo leaves it for Lee.
That's a
Ray Lee's throw. This is a great one. Brett, though, missed on the hookup with Parks. Maybe Parks just fanned on that. It's hard to tell where that ball was. Forbes, well, he wanted to take a crack, it looked like. But
yeah, you could see he was winding up there, waiting to get the opportunity, but didn't get the opening.
Did not have the space, working against Niall McCabe, the Irishman. Dabo steps too. This is Parks, who's looked creative. He's looked dangerous in this one. What a backheel flick to keep that alive and keep it in Riverhounds' possession.
Yeah, he's done well out there when he's had the ball. And
no Cristiano Francois, but unlike last week, he's available off the bench. Curious, because I felt like he was one of the Riverhounds' most consistent players until last week. Not sure if there's a slight injury or what, but right now Parks is getting the chance over there on the left side. Zemansky, a couple of head fakes.
I thought he was going to wind up and have a shot, but
Funky Azil bends in. Parks was, well, basically wearing a couple of Louisville City defenders near the spot, but the ball was swatted past him.
I think he got 6 studs on his right arm there.
He was reaching there. So if he got slapped or held, or as you mentioned, maybe even kicked. Ranjit Singh to handle this. Greg Ranjit Singh, 9 shutouts. Every minute of every match he's been in there for Lou City. This ball is a souvenir.
Yeah, this Hounds are really trying to put some pressure on them. We've got to give them credit here. They're trying to force something, and Louisville still keeping them out.
Can't imagine there'll be too much stoppage time added on as we approach the 45th minute. The only real stoppage was for the goal, scored by Cameron Lancaster on a turn. And Adewale, who was victimized for that goal, just made that play to keep it up in the attacking third. Canardo Forbes to the back post, and flying through was Parks, but he couldn't direct it on line.
Boy, that was another great opportunity for Parks again. It's sad to see because he keeps getting into these situations and just can't get that final touch and put it away. Because this was a perfect one for a center forward, especially a player with his height and his ability to score.
Same old story for the Riverhounds, especially in the first halves of games here. They have not finished their chances by and large. And you look at their goals for and against, it could be a much bigger differential this season. They've been so good defending. Missed kick from Williams gives Brett the chance.
Going into the last minute of the 45 here. Oh, this is a foul. Here's an opportunity again with a dead ball situation. Got to try and take advantage of this one, like we did last week.
That's right. It was right about this time. No stoppage time will be added. That's a first for this year in any half, so the Hounds have to hurry. That clock is the real thing. This time, Parks driving it in. Bunky Azil was making a run, but it didn't get to him. Dover, maybe down to 10 seconds and one last look, but he couldn't jam it through. Niall McCabe, who's been excellent getting feet on balls and just making his presence known here on this left side from the Louisville perspective. Lee, whistle, that's all.
And Dover here has got to know that it's running out of time. You've got to put it back in the mixer, you know, and the mixer being in the box where all the players are and where you get an opportunity to at least try and get a shot off.
Well, he tried the through ball. It was taken away by McCabe. And there you see the lone goal scorer, Cameron Lancaster, USL's Player of the Month for August. He had 8 goals then. He was held off the board by Cincinnati just this past week, but he's right back on track. And adjustments for Bob Lilly, like I said, I'm not sure they really need that many.
I don't really know what you can really do, Matt. They've created so many chances, which we don't see usually, and they've just been peppering the goal and trying to get some, I mean, having some great chances at goal, and the keeper and defenders have just been coming through for Louisville.
Maybe the real question is, what does Louisville City do? What's their stance? They're going to be tired, right, after playing 60-some minutes earlier in the week, and so do they sit back or do they push for the second goal? That'll be the answer we look for in the second 45
Yeah, definitely
minutes.
See how they come out.
All right, well, we'll take a break and bring it on back. We're going to look ahead. I know we still have a half match to go, but we'll look ahead for both teams as the schedule makers have provided us with some really fun matchups here in the month of September, especially in the Eastern Conference. That's up next, including a look around the league as well. It's halftime. 45 minutes gone in Pittsburgh, and the visitors and the defending league champs are up 1-0 on ESPN+. We shall return after this break.
A lot of clients ask us what makes us different. The first thing that comes to mind for me is Joyce's signature collection. We truly are jewelers. We're passionate about jewelry. We understand the process of making jewelry and what it takes to make the highest quality product at the best value. We travel the world to bring back and create the most unique diamond jewelry collection that you will find anywhere. If you've never shopped Joyce's, I personally invite you to visit our store. I know you're gonna love it.
At Joyce's Jewelry.
I just want to make sure that I just do everything I can to just protect him and love him and just, you know, just be the best mom I can be.
Yeah. And with your first, you want to know the doctor because you want to be comfortable with them.
Yeah. I don't want to feel like I'm at a baby factory.
Be like this.
The region's fastest growing labor and delivery program is at Allegheny Health Network.
the years, you've done right by investing in your home. And now, you can use that equity to borrow money for the things you need. With a low 1.99% APR and no fees, you can apply for a home equity loan online and use the money to upgrade to that minivan, make home improvements, or finance college. At Clearview, we can help you find ways to use the equity in your home for more important things. Let us help. Visit us online for more information. Clearview Federal Credit Union, the next generation of personal banking.
He is still here. 1-0 Louisville City over the Pittsburgh Riverhounds at Highmark Stadium. Back on ESPN Plus, I'm Matt Geica with Paul Child, and this match, of course, has huge importance to the Eastern Conference standings in both teams, but next week will also be very interesting. First for the home team, Paul, Pittsburgh finishes up a 3-game homestand against Indy 11, a team that they played 2 very different matches against. Here it was 0-0 back in mid-May, but out in Indianapolis, it was 2-2, and a wild match. Keepers making some mistakes, some wild things happening. So, Indy 11 right in there. They could finish second feasibly, so it's a big chance for them too. Yes,
and that's a game I think it's important. We've got to remember that Hounds are in the playoff situation anyway. But I think this game is still a super important game. But I know the Indy game coming up next week is going to be another big one as well, and we've got to come through with a win.
And there you see Penn FC, especially important next week too, to get points tonight and tomorrow, or next week, because the Hounds finished with 4 of their last 5 on the road. So yeah, the time has come to take advantage of what the schedule makers have given you. And let's look on to Louisville City, because, well, you see Penn FC on that upcoming schedule for Pittsburgh. Lou City will take on the Riverhounds' Keystone State rival, and Penn FC has risen up the standings. They're still out of the playoff picture, but this is not going to be some pushover matchup. And Lou City, which has been taxed this week, well, they'll be pushed again here because Penn is going to be absolutely desperate for points.
Yeah, and those kind of games are really tough games to go into. And after having to play, a tough game tonight and again so soon that, this is where it can just change really quickly. Louisville could have their hands full with Indy.
And we're just watching Penn take all 3 points against Indy 11, so they can pull it off against the best that the Eastern Conference has to offer, or nearly the best as it was. Just like the Hounds, in fact. They play more on the road than at home coming up here down the stretch. But 2 teams in Atlanta United 2 and Toronto FC 2 that are definitely not making the postseason, so maybe Lou City has that they can, they can hang their hat on, and they can say, all right, it's going to be away, but the competition is not as stiff as what Pittsburgh will be facing down the stretch. We're going to take a look around the league in just a moment. Stay with us through this break on ESPN Plus. Back in a second.
How's it going, everyone? USL's Kelsey Steele here with FC Cincinnati defender Forrest Lasso. So we're well aware of what Forrest can do on the pitch. So today we're going to see what he's got on the court. We've got a game of horse going with a few questions in between. So Forrest, you want to get to it?
Let's do it.
Go.
Oh, let's go. Oh, pressure's on. Let's do it.
We got an H, people. So you're rally guy. Favorite part about North Carolina?
Ooh, sweet tea and barbecue.
MJ or LeBron?
Oh, that's like the Pele Messi question.
There's only one right answer.
I mean, I'm definitely biased, so I'm MJ. We'll go with Bank this time.
Oh, okay, all right.
Oh, we got a letter.
Okay, sweet spot then on the court.
Top of the key.
Top of the key, okay.
Oh, yes.
Whose play would you mirror the most?
Little size difference with Dwayne Wade. He was the reason I started watching the NBA.
Get out of here. What, only 5'6", 5'7" at 16, and now you're pushing 6'7" at 25. What's that like for you?
So being the small guy, I was like the run of the litter growing up. I was always the smallest guy on every team, and then once it started to grow, I would like to say I was more technically sound when I was younger and smaller. And as I kind of grew, I kept the technical part of my game, and then I also realized that I had the physical side. When it comes to the game, it's definitely been a blessing. It's a special tool or trait that not everybody has, obviously.
Killing me.
Needed that.
being pulled in from that Cincinnati community? What do they do bring to you guys?
Oh man, I've been playing this game since, I don't know, 3 years old. Everybody likes the game, not everybody loves the game, and when you go to Cincinnati you can tell that there's 40,000 people that love it.
You're roommates with Jimmy. Tell me you've got a good story or two living with him over these last few months.
We've probably seen it on a few goal celebrations, but he's got absolutely no rhythm. He's probably going to hate that I told the world this, but he's, when it comes to dancing, this guy's pretty fun to watch.
Not short. Ah! Give it to the champ.
That was fun.
That'll do it for us today, Forrest. Thanks for coming along and bearing the heat with us. For now, that'll do it from Tampa.
Oh, what a save by Pickens! And it's slammed in by Allen. Cole takes the shot and scores! This is Nashville SC. Save by Bell. Stylish, sensational.
Back at Highmark Stadium, halftime between Pittsburgh and Louisville City FC. Matt Geico alongside Paul Child. Let's look around the league and start with the game of the week schedule. You can tell we're getting close to the end of the schedule. Just 3 games of the week left. Nashville in desperate need of points. We'll see them Tuesday, 8:30 on ESPN3. FC Cincinnati, the likely regular season champions for the East and the entire league. One last look for them nationwide. And Las Vegas Lights, well, they've been turning the sports world upside down with some of their crazy promotions. They'll take on Phoenix Rising as Phoenix preps for the playoffs. And Paul, especially with Cincinnati, it's interesting to see how they'll handle the last few weeks with almost everything clinched for them.
Oh, yeah, definitely. There's a lot of pressure still on them, I think, Matt. And, you know, you got the Richmond Kickers who haven't done that great this season, and they could be a real upset. And hopefully it will be that way for us because it'll help the Riverhounds, obviously. But, no, that's a kind of a strange game, but those are the tough games sometimes.
We'll keep it in the Eastern Conference. Speaking of FC Cincy, they'll be playing tomorrow against Toronto FC 2. So first versus last in the Eastern Conference. Again, there's the Nashville-Tampa Bay matchup. Penn FC is still in this thing, by the way, and they'll have a chance to knock off Louisville City and climb closer to the Eastern Conference playoff field. And then you see Charleston Battery getting another crack at it on Wednesday. Some real midweek action here. Louisville City, Charleston. By the time we get together next Saturday, the standings could look a lot different.
No, it's getting really exciting. I think this is where the fun part starts. And, you know, everybody's like jostling positions. And really, there's some surprises there too. Like it says, Penn FC could sneak in there and knock somebody out.
They have those elusive and valuable games in hand, so it is not over yet, and the Riverhounds still have to play them for the Keystone Derby Cup on the road. We talked about Cameron Lancaster in the Open. There you see his spectacular August, and the second time he's come through. Bethlehem Steel, they've come on certainly, and there you see Brendan Burke, their third-year head man. He wins Coach of the Month in August. And this is very interesting as we see Richmond Kickers will be sorry to miss them next year in the USL schedule as they'll be dropping down to D3. But they will maintain their status as one of the 2 longest-running pro franchises in the United States. Back for the second half kickoff after this final break at halftime in Pittsburgh. It's the Riverhounds, it's Lou City FC. Still much more to come on ESPN+.
You're a survivor.
I am a survivor, just like you're going to be a survivor, too.
Absolutely. I had the MRI when I went back and met with my gynecologist. She said, I want to err on the side of caution. One thing rolled after another. You know, I had the surgeries. The people down there just make it so much more doable.
Western Pennsylvania's top-rated health system for women's health is Allegheny Health Network.
The Riverhounds Technical Training Academy is back this winter at the AHN Sports Complex at Cool Springs. The 15-session program runs from December to March and is loaded with skills development taught by professional players from around the world. Registration opens in August. Sessions begin December 1st. Find out more by emailing wintertraining@riverhounds.com or by calling 412-325-7238.
All right, that's enough, you two. Don't paint your brother. No, you can't eat the clay. What can I say? Moms just know I'm Christine Sorensen, and as a mom, I know parents know a lot. But for the few things we don't know, there's Kidsburg, your go-to resource for all the great things in our area for kids and families. Everything from kid-friendly events, creative learning, and help for parents. It's every Wednesday on KDKA TV, emailed to your inbox and online at kidsburg.org.
Well, if the Riverhounds want to pick up a victory tonight, it's going to have to be a come-from-behind victory. I'm Matt Geica with Paul Child. The Hounds trail it 1-0 against Louisville City through 45 minutes as we take a look at the first half highlights. The Riverhounds had some early chances, Paul, and, well, 3 of them ended up on the foot of Nico Brett, but this one from Romeo Parks was in the first minute.
Yeah, this was really quick right from the kickoff, went straight down, had an opportunity, and here's the second one. Great through ball here to Nico Brett, and just takes that little long touch that took him out of the situation where he could get any power on the ball. And there you're going to see it again, and he had to stretch for it and gave the defenders time to get back and save it.
That's Paco Craig, and keep an eye on him because he'll factor in later in this highlight package. Brett sprawled out on the surface here, and there's Craig serving the ball into Lancaster. Doesn't look like much, does it? But he volleys it down and in with Toby Adewale all over his back.
I think Glenn Deck was unsighted and didn't know really where the ball was until he'd already got the turn in and got the shot off, because he kind of went late, but I think he went on the inside of the post and in.
You see some looks of disbelief on his teammates' faces. Lancaster's league-leading 19th goal. Brett could have had his 15th there and there. Ranjitsingh and then Speedy Williams got in the way.
That was the one I was talking to you earlier, Matt, where I think Nico Brett should have hit this ball down if he possibly could, and he was able to. It wasn't like the ball was too high, but he could have been in this way he's facing, like right into the bottom right-hand corner.
And the cross from Parks was superb. You see Brett applauding that. And Brett, you saw his hands go up in protest there after his second shot was blocked by his old college buddy Williams. Well, I think he thought it might have been a handball, but Williams turned his back to it. It hit him right between the 8 and the 0 on the Lou City jersey. Dan Lind has conceded 1, and that's a rarity this season too. I mentioned 11 clean sheets on the year, just 1 behind the league lead and just 3 away from the all-time record, but it'll have to be a different day that he'll chip away at that. Greg Ranjitsingh, he wants to get his 10th clean sheet, of course, but 45 minutes to go, and well, Lou City's going to have to work on being a little bit more restrictive because they gave up quite the quality of chances. 6 shots for the Hounds, but 3 of them were on goal. Possession was in favor of Pittsburgh nearly by a 60-40 margin. Corner kicks also the Riverhounds on top there, 7-1 in the first half.
Ray Lee giving a free kick right here, right away, just plucked the back of.
And remember, it was a set piece on which that Lou City struck. Dan Lind handles this. It bounced over the head of Ilya Illich.
It kind of wasted, really. Was no threat at all, and Lind knocking the ball high now.
Up toward the middle of the pitch. Forbes leaping. Couldn't get it initially, but as the train goes by, here's Mohamed Dabo sliding to Forbes.
And that's what we were talking about earlier, Matt. There's Forbes. He seems to be turning, not being able to get down that flank like he usually is, with Dover and him combining on getting some crosses in and creating havoc.
Thomas Vunke is way over by the sideline. Has Parks for the flick-on header, but Sawaki bangs it away from Nico Brett running onto it. Lee gets into the mix. This is Brett wanting to step around. Sliding tackle made by Craig. Dabo headed off one of the Lou City attackers at the pass. Paolo Del Piccolo slugs it near side. Smith to Swahi. Brett on the high press. Swahi drives it deep. And well done by Adewale to get around it.
Yeah, Adewale did well there to get that back into Ray Lee.
Ray Lee, you know he's strong with that left foot, a little too strong this time, and Ranjitsingh will take. It's the team in Lou City, working with his second head coach. You don't see that very often from a team that's challenging for at least a top 2 finish, but James O'Connor was tabbed by Orlando City of MLS, and he moved on after 3.5 seasons managing this bunch. Now it's Sean Hackworth's turn. Lee heads it to Lind, who gives him the thumbs up.
I'm glad they talked it out there, because Adewale was going to head it and Ray Lee at the same time, and one of them just obviously took charge and told the other player to get away. This is mine.
A lot of college players back on the back line for the Riverhounds. There's Joe Greenspan of Navy, Adewale, George Washington, Ray Lee, St. Louis University. Adewale steps into the attacking half. So he's been a little more aggressive in the last 2 or 3 games. He's had some shots on target too. Just the 1 goal. His first as a pro way back in April. Can Dover make it there? He can't. Goal kick.
Forbes again, a little bit too hard on the pass, and you know, Dover not getting on the end of it, which is strange for us to see, because they usually combine really, really well.
And it was a virtuoso game from Forbes last week against Bethlehem Steel. Well, plenty of games going on in the USL this weekend. A reminder, you can go to the USL's official Twitter to keep you up to date with news, live game updates, highlights via GIF and video, all from around the league 24/7. Follow @USL on Twitter. You can watch highlights on Facebook too, facebook.com/USL Soccer, 2 official social media channels. We'll get you some out-of-town scores in a little bit. Was Zemansky unable to put that one forward? George Davis IV. He's been in the USL since 2010, but he lost control of that.
Forbes did well there, coming back and winning that ball back and breaking up that play. And Ray Lee there setting up.
He had some support from Dabo, did Forbes, and Lee Aaron with that one.
And Park's not getting a good touch at all on that one, but that's where we want to see him, going down this left-hand side and creating problems, because we've seen him and he's got a tremendous amount of speed. He looks like he's not running too quick, but he's got these real long strides, and he can really cover some ground.
Pretty early to think about substitutions, but if you're thinking attack, the Riverhounds have Cristiano Francois available. You know he'll have some jump in those legs once he gets back out there. Joe Holland, who played last week, is also on the bench. So is Cade Banjo, Riverhound's second-year striker.
Yeah, Banjo come in last week and did a good job with Holland, and looked really dangerous and created a couple of chances, if I remember rightly, Matt.
That's correct. Holland, in fact, should have had a goal. He was robbed by the Bethlehem keeper, John McCarthy. Made his best save, but the horse was already well out of the barn. It was 4-1 in the 90th minute. The Riverhounds trying to rediscover that first half rhythm that had them all over the Louisville penalty area for the first 30 minutes or so, especially. No guarantee you're going to come out of halftime with that same look. And Louisville defending doggedly right now, keeping the Hounds from doing much. Dabo has to come back to this ball. Illich wanting to take it away from behind, but he can't. Forbes in some serious trouble there, but he works his way out of it.
He did very, very well there. That was what the Forbes we know for sure, and he really got himself out of trouble. And Louisville making it difficult for the Hounds, really are, and that's where the Hounds are having a problem trying to just create any combinations and through balls.
Jimenez cracked it upfield. Thomas Vankiaziel on it for the Riverhounds. Potential USL Rookie of the Year candidate Vankiaziel to Dover. Gave it up briefly, but Illich couldn't make anything happen. Dabo puts all he has into this one to locate Ray Lee, left side in the area. Lee back across the face of goal, and Zemansky a step slow to catch it.
Yeah, I was wondering about that, whether it was a shot or whether it was a cross. It was kind of a tweener, and you're just driving that ball really hard across in that box. You never know what's going to happen. Could hit a defender or anybody and go in.
Well, I had a vision of last week when Ray Lee connected with Jordan Dover on the back post. This was more of a front door look to Zemansky, or just hoping that anybody finds the ball as it's cracked. Lee got every bit of it. Vankiaziel's volley the back line. Craig, Paco Craig, one of the heroes for Lou City so far. Romeo Parks, left-footed play is a good one too. Brett wanted to go back to Parks, not a lot of space though. And it was intercepted by Kyle Smith, third-year Lou City player.
And Zemansky doing really well too there, Matt, getting back and stealing that ball back and creating a chance.
Forbes put it off the back of a Louisville player, and is this a corner kick? It is. Over in that side of the pitch in that dark corner near the Monongahela River, Jimenez couldn't turn it around and keep it at least in a throw-in territory, so it'll be Zemansky with Riverhounds' first corner kick of the second half.
Got a big bunch there right on the penalty spot. It's going to be interesting to see where they all disperse to, whether this ball's going to be on the spot.
Wouldn't be surprised if they change some things up with the set piece. It's Adewale heads it down. Can Parks do anything with it? Still free and cracked into safety by Del Piccolo.
Yeah, nobody could get that down on the ground there, so it's very difficult to get a foot on it and try and, you know, from that range, just get a toe on it, a shot of some kind, and ball's just bouncing around in the air.
Louisville's winless in 3, but 4 games in a row they've won on the road. And the Riverhounds haven't lost at home since the Charleston Battery stole a 1-0 victory. Atula Guerra's 89th minute goal. That was a shocker. But since then, the Riverhounds have only dropped a couple of points on their home turf. They are overall 8-2-5 here in USL play. Zemansky.
Great run there by Zemansky. Diagonal run.
He'll get to the end of it, and it won't be a throw. It's flicked forward. Well done by Dover for a moment, but Sawaki intercepts. Alexi Sawaki. And now he looks on as his opposite number over here on this near side. Smith connects to Lancaster, overrun by Toby Adewale. Impressive play there, and Adewale dragged to the pitch. That's not going to feel too good. And the referee, Farhad Dotko, has a yellow card out in his hand. Is he going to issue it?
Yeah.
He will, and he wanted to defuse the situation right away. That's why he had both hands down. The card given to Cameron Lancaster. Our first booking of the match in the 55th minute.
Yeah, it was definitely a bad foul, deserved the yellow card. We're going to see it again here. He's got a hold of his shoulder, trying to trip him up with the back of his legs, and obviously a yellow card.
Reckless challenge. Lancaster has the only goal. He has the only card. He's going for soccer bingo tonight, apparently. Needs an assist, maybe. Throw something else in there. Zemansky's facing a one-man wall on George Davis, who's not too concerned about him at the moment. Dabo will take this play. The Riverhounds are offside.
It's Forbes, I think it is. Must have been standing in the offside position the whole time, and Louisville just taking their time right away.
Just a reminder that you can stay up to date with all the best from social media around the USL by watching Off the Post with Kelsey Steele. That's every Friday evening on the USL social media channels. And plenty to keep up on throughout the league. Louisville's tied for 3rd in the USL. This bodes well for Lou City in road goals allowed in the second half, so they can close it down away.
Corner kick.
Well won by Nico Brett, who got right in the kitchen of Sawaki. Yeah. And so here we go from the left corner this time. Make it 8 corners for the Riverhounds now. They keep Zemansky as the man to put it into play. Ben strikes it near post. Brett couldn't head it. Over there, it's Toby Adewale colliding with Del Piccolo, and the Lou City captain won that fight. Dabo knocks it along the ground. Forbes turning one way, turning back the other. King Kenny, as they call him, now has the ball at his feet. Forbes, one of 3 native Jamaicans on the pitch for the Riverhounds. Lancaster crossing, looking for another one of them, and Nico Brett bounces free to Toby Adewale. Toby wants to have a look, but he can't get it through the defending of Speedy Williams.
Yeah, that was a bit of a distance outside, and about 3 or 4 different players right in front of him. So I think he was going to try a shot, but really looking for a hopeful one going right through those defenders.
Louisville trying to improve to 5-0-1 at Highmark Stadium in its history. It's the 4th year for these 2 teams squaring off. And the Hounds have also never swept Louisville in a season series. The Riverhounds collected a 1-0 decision back in June down in Louisville, and Lancaster sends it up pitch.
We're going to see a substitution coming in soon too with Francois, which we thought might happen to generate some offense, because we know he's got the talent to do that.
Parks challenging here against Kyle Smith. He has the talent, he has the speed too, so if the Riverhounds are looking like they could use a little extra energy, and they might be at this point, an hour into it, then he's your guy.
Yeah, because he's going to go at the defenders. You know, he is down this left-hand side. I don't know who's coming out, whether it's Romeo Parks probably, and because that's where Parks has been playing. But
we've heard that it'll be Zemansky from the 4th. Referee Alfonso Fajardo passes it upstairs. Zemansky, he was also a guess of mine too, just because he's not entirely an attack-oriented player, and you can make that adjustment.
Yeah.
And also Parks has had flashes today, so
yeah.
I'm not sure he's out of gas yet.
No, and you want to keep your forwards in there. We need goals, so you know, the more the merrier, and hopefully they'll get another chance.
Jimenez spins one toward the 6. Dan Lynn, wearing that mask to protect the broken bones in his face, suffered last month. Collects that one rather easily.
Joe Greenspan did well there, because if he didn't get to that ball, that was going to be in the back of the net, because there was somebody waiting right behind him. I don't know.
Dan Lind, as we said, missed 5 games. As we take a look at that replay, Greenspan, tough to get it over his head. 6'6", and he adds a few more via the leap. Parks, good play to tap it through George Davis, the 4th. Romeo, well, he couldn't get it through to a well-defended Brett. Dabo slides through, but all that'll be is a Lou City throw. Cristiano Francois, no secret he'll be checking in soon at the next stoppage, it appears. He's fully warmed up.
Szymanski's done a real good job tonight too, Matt. He's been all over the place. He's been taking off down the right side of the field, getting crosses, taking, what is it, 8 corner kicks now.
Yeah.
And maybe he just needs a breather, and that's why Bob Litt is putting in some fresh legs and some speed as well.
Kyle Smith coughed that up for Lou City, and the Riverhounds gladly take possession back. They had the ball, they had the shots, they had the chances in the first half, but no goals for Pittsburgh, and they have not come from behind on their home surface this year to win. They do have a come from behind victory at Richmond. They trailed 1-0 in the second half. In fact, they got 2 to win going away at the Kickers. There's Dan Lynn sliding through in the face of Cameron Lancaster, who was marked by Greenspan in that spot. Foul called and an easy one. Zemansky in probably his last act on the pitch, and it will be. He's checking out. He knows the bell tolls for him at this point, or the whistle, as it were. Francois will replace him on the surface. Cristiano Francois, the 25-year-old native of Haiti. 4 goals, 4 assists on the year. Missed last week's match, wasn't even active. And Zemansky, the 30-year-old from Akron, Ohio, will have a seat after 62 minutes.
It looks like he's going over to the right side of the field, and I think
Forbes is staying out wide.
Yeah.
Parks is on it. Romeo Parks has bodies in the box, lets it fly, gets it right back after the block, tries it across, and it's headed clear, albeit briefly. Forbes cuts to the outside here. Forbes has Parks, and he has Lee. He elects Lee to handle. Toby Adewale joining the fray in the attacking third.
You can see we've got like 4 players really pushing forward now, and Forbes has come over to this left-hand side, and he's going to try and penetrate over here and get some crosses in for Francois and Nico Brett, and they're not very happy with that pass at the moment.
No, he's just been a touch off today, has Forbes, even though he's possessed the ball well. The passing accuracy hasn't quite been there as we're used to seeing.
Yeah, definitely.
The man who leads the Hounds in completed passes, and in the attacking third especially, is where he gets the job done.
And you can see where they sent Francois over there, because we said that Forbes hasn't been really connecting with Dover or what, so too often, and so he sent him over to this left-hand side, and now for Francois and Dover, if Dover gets the ball, he's going to send Francois, because we know he's got lightning speed and he can get around the back of players.
Substitution: Speedy Williams is out, and his fellow Jamaican Sean Francis is in. Francis, 31-year-old. Veteran of over 100 MLS games. Also 11 caps for the Reggae Boys, the international name of the Jamaican national team. So Francis in a little more size for Lou City, as they're anticipating trying to bunker in a bit. Lou City has given up 6 game-tying goals on the season, so it's not impossible to come back against them.
No.
About middle of the pack defensively overall are the champs. Long lead ball, Cameron Lancaster's going to find it. Jimenez take this one from Francis.
Yeah, they're just trying to just keep possession right now. No rush to go forward. Obviously, they're winning 1-0 and into the 60th minute.
Craig to Francis over there. Looks like Smith has moved into the midfield for Louisville, as Francis will take the wingback spot on the left side from the Lou City perspective. Some shifting for John Hackworth. Most recently coached the U.S. Under-17 national program, national team rather. Jimenez takes the wide ball, mishandled with Parks chasing him down. Then George Davis, he kept this one in play. Adewale lets it roll though for a goal kick. Not much room for George Davis, I'll say that much. Over 50 goals in his career. At age 31, still dangerous, with 6 this season, but he hasn't had a really dangerous touch in this match. And really, it was Lancaster, and that's about it through the run of play. Some restarts have created havoc for Lou City, but not too much to write home about.
And this is where, Francois can take off there, and he was going to try and get on the end of that one.
Well, he has the ball here. He's been waiting for this moment for a couple of weeks. Cristiano Francois, the Cheetah. Mohamed Dabo plays setup man here. Bunky Azil, one touch to Francois, bending it in, but a little bit away from Nico Brett. Closest man to that ball wearing a black jersey. That was Niall McCabe doubling back. A combination play attempted with Lancaster the target, but nothing doing.
Yeah, Louisville's got 9 men back, and just Lancaster being the target right now, and they're just trying to go absorb everything the Hounds can throw at them. So trying to play this game out, I'm sure. Looking for the 3 points.
Get an inside look at life on and off the pitch every Wednesday evening from the pitch on USLsoccer.com. Parks to Ray Lee. Does Lee have a good cross in him? And that one was at least forcing Swahi to swat it out. And then Lee's called for the foul here on the perimeter.
Yeah, he clipped the player's heel when the player went down straight away. And
that was George Davis, by the way, who fell. Well, Louisville has won 4 in a row on the road, but this would be the most impressive on the road in quite some time for them if they can pull it off. They've downed Ottawa, New York, Charlotte, and Richmond. But to come into here where the Riverhounds have lost just twice all season, and take all 3 points would be massive. Bob Lilly getting heated on the sideline now. He was talking rather animatedly with Ray Lee after that foul was called against his wingback. Greenspan overshot it. Now he's in trouble. Oh, that was close. Ilya Illich wanted to draw the penalty kick, and he didn't. And for what we saw, Greenspan called for something similar last match against Bethlehem. He was the culprit. And then Lee coughed it up. Illich, can he get it through to Lancaster? He's running on. Lind is out, and he takes a boot right in the midsection. A foul is called outside the 18 by referee Dotko. And will a card come out too? He's reaching for his pocket. No, he's reaching for the spray to highlight the spot. Lind, I was frightened for him there because he's coming back from the broken face.
I didn't see this this foul here, so I don't know why he got that. But
Lancaster stumbled as he broke to the ball. And is that Greenspan who just got carded? I think it was.
Yeah, because he's questioning the referee. He's trying to figure out what the call was.
'68th minute, yellow card. And more importantly to the outcome of this match, a free kick from a rough spot, and Cameron Lancaster will likely be the guy to put his boot into it. It's not the best of angles, but he's been known to swerve a few into top corners. He has a couple this year from similar range. Yes, Jimenez and also Sean Francis alongside as
it's more of a left-footed player's spot, if anything.
Right. Yes, he hasn't scored on a free kick from this side. And so Francis tapped over the bar by Dan Lind. Francis, he had all of us forward, right? He just ran up and cracked it. And fresh into the match, he nearly made it 2-0.
Yeah, and I thought it would be a left-footed player, and obviously Francis was the guy. And everybody expects Lancaster to take it because he's scoring so many goals from free kicks, but it's not the right position for him right there.
Very similar to a save that Lind made in stoppage time at Louisville to preserve the win. And that was dipping at least off the bar. If not in, it was going to be very close. Francis will have the corner kick, and as the lefty, or pardon me, this is Jimenez. As the lefty, he'll swing it in toward the goal. Simple clear, though, by Canardo Forbes. 20 minutes to go in regulation, give or take. George Davis has a runner. It's headed back across and down and in. Is that Swahi?
That's a great ball back across, and Hounds all going one direction, all caught out of position. This guy wide open, and this is the header that went. He headed the ball really nice, hard and low down, and keeper couldn't do anything about it.
I was in disbelief when I saw number 3, Alexei Swahi, gets his first goal of the season in his 14th appearance, and steps up from his center back spot. And it looked like trouble right away, as you mentioned, Paul. The Riverhounds getting stretched out. They didn't have enough bodies to mark up.
No, they're all going towards the ball and being dragged towards the ball, and nobody in there picking this player up. And it's a good header, you know. He headed it hard and low. Keeper couldn't really get across the goal and save that one.
Paco Craig picks up the assist in the 70th minute.
Oh, and here's Francois right in the end.
Francois, now the Riverhounds need a deuce to pull even with Lou City. This will be a difficult result to take. The Riverhounds had all the chances in the world to have a lead in the first half if it does end this way, and still 20 miles to go for Louisville.
Yeah, you never know, though. If they can just get one quick, that's the important thing here in the next 5 or 10 minutes, and things could really change, and they could put the pressure back on again. But they've got to do it soon.
How about that? 2 center backs involved, both in the 18, both out of the run of play, although it was right after a corner kick, so that's why they were up the pitch. So the counter, if you want to call it that, just originated from midfield, and there it was. Plenty of runners for Louisville City, and they convert. The cut to the inside. Brett has a man there, and put just wide.
Boy, that was very unlucky there for Parks again. Again, getting on the end of that. Because he's got those long legs, and I thought he was going to just get enough to touch it, but he needed to get it on target. And
had all the makings of a goal. It had all the looks of a
definitely.
goal. Dover, Brett, and then Parks.
Right there, yeah.
And then he tumbles past Ranjit Singh after this shot misses. I don't think Ranjit Singh ticked it at all.
No, I don't think he could do anything about it. He just, if Parks had got on a target, I think that would have been a certain goal, but didn't quite get it where he needed to.
The Riverhounds had surrendered just 6 goals all year at home. Coming into this match, they've now allowed 2 in 1 outing. That's a first in league play. Cincinnati scored 3 in the U.S. Open Cup. But it's been extremely difficult to perforate the Hounds here at home. Dover has plenty of room to run. And Brett was the target, but Ranjit Singh intercepted it. That bright yellow keeper's kit.
Yeah, when that ball goes that close to the keeper, you know, you've got to change your run, because Pet was kind of running to the far post and change it and go back to the near post. But you've got to do it really quickly, and obviously couldn't do it then.
Dabo won the aerial duel. Francois running at Francis. Gives wide, Brett's offside. The flag comes up as he was approaching the ball.
And Louisville not even getting the ball and just walking up the field.
Yep, we've reached that time of the match when gamesmanship enters the picture.
Yep, for sure.
Well, this would have been a tough match to pick, but you can test your knowledge in USLsoccer.com's weekly picks competition every week. And find out how well you know the USL, and you could win tickets to an upcoming USL game of your choice, all at USLsoccer.com. Would have taken a courageous prediction to say the Riverhounds were going to give up 2 goals tonight, but they have. 1 from Lancaster, 1 from Sawaukee. So one player scores his 19th, one scores his first.
And that's the trouble. Sometimes, you know, you get so many chances and then they don't go in, and it just switches the whole thing around.
And in the second half, they just haven't been quite as effective.
No, and Louisville's done very well keeping them out too, and making it difficult for them to penetrate. You know, I haven't seen many balls going through at all where players can get to the byline and cut the ball back even. And that Louisville's doing a real good job on that right side, especially, and stopping the Hounds going anywhere.
Under Hackworth, they're playing 4 in the back now, Lou City, compared to James O'Connor and his 3 defenders set up. Corner kick, though, this will be an opportunity that the Hounds would be well advised to connect on. They know this. Cristiano Francois will have it from the right flag.
I'd like to see somebody go out there and try and take a short one with him instead of this. But
Ranjit Singh, the lanky keeper, gobbles it up.
Every time it's too close to the keeper, he just comes out. Yeah, he needs to. I think they could get a quick short corner, and then it changes all the players, because somebody's got to go out there and pick up, and it opens up some space in the bin.
That's correct. They haven't really changed up their strategy here. That's the 9th corner by my count for the Riverhounds, and one time Greenspan missing on a header was the only time, and that was very early on where it looked like it was going to be a goal.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Louisville City has handled it, whether it's Ranjit Singh or his defenders.
That's a great ball there.
It is a perfectly driven ball to Lee. Diagonal switches play up, forces Lou City to try to scramble a bit and get back into the action. Romeo Parks wanting to get by Sawaukee, but unable to do that.
But you can see again, Matt, they've got that whole center field. It's all clogged up there, Louisville, and making it very, very hard to find passing lanes for the Hounds, and they're doing a good job.
Well, the Coopers, the Lou City supporters group, they're up in full throat, as you might imagine. The Steel Army, the Hound supporters to our right are trying to match that. It's made for a really fun atmosphere tonight. Second of 3 in a row at home for the Riverhounds. They just have 2 home matches to go after this. Next Saturday against Indy 11, and then rematch everyone's waiting for. First weekend of October against Cincinnati. Top team on the table. It's going to be sad to see Cincinnati leave the league and move on to MLS. Happy for them, obviously, but we're just getting this rivalry going with the Riverhounds.
Really, yeah.
One of the closer teams they have, the Hounds, that is, geographically speaking. The only closer team is Penn FC, and we'll see them in 10 days' time down at FNB Field in the capital city of Pennsylvania. Two new men coming in for the Riverhounds, and it's the two attackers we postulated earlier, Paul. It's Joe Holland and Kay Banjo. They'll check in, as will for Lou City Jose Carranza.
It's going to be interesting to see who pulls out too, because he's got a variety of offensive players in there. Francois, who's kind of really hasn't had a chance to go at anybody because Louisville's making it difficult. This is Ray Lee. That's a great ball.
Lee right in and off Swahi's foot. And corner kick again.
And they're just batting everything out of there. Anything comes in the box, just whack it out if in doubt.
Especially when it's 2-0.
Yeah, sure.
When it's 2-0, yeah, you can afford to be, I don't want to say careless, but clear at any cost. Give up a corner kick, that's fine. Ray Lee walks off the pitch. Kay Banjo's coming in, so a forward for a wingback in this spot in the 79th minute. Carranza and Holland are still awaiting the go-ahead. Doesn't look like they'll get it, in fact. Here's the cross. Oh. It bobbles around in there, right around the 6. Can Forbes get it, or pardon me, Parks? He cannot.
Can somebody get a foot on it? They could. It's like a hot potato in there. No.
Here is Forbes off of the toe of Lancaster. Quick throw for Pittsburgh. They can't get the subs in. Can either side. Cristiano Francois now working the left side. Oh, he put a dangerous ball in.
And there's another one, the same situation. Driving these balls in, they're just whacking them out of there and getting them out of danger. Be nice to see somebody connect on one of these now.
It's the 12th corner for the Riverhounds. Low one to the 6. Adewale was closest, but one more time, Lou City clears it, and there's an injured player on the foul against Toby Adewale.
And the other two subs are coming in right now.
Holland for Pittsburgh, Carranza for Louisville. Holland is in for Joe Greenspan, so the Riverhounds take two backs and replace them with attacking players.
Yeah.
And why not at 2-0 down. Greenspan, that's the first time I can recall him coming out of a match.
As long as we don't get counter-attacked on, then you know what, you've got nothing to lose right now. Though it's going into the last 10 minutes of the game, and you just got to throw everything you can at Louisville and hopefully come out and get a goal and build on that.
Carranza's out, or in rather, in the 80th minute. Illich is out. Ilya Illich. The Riverhounds bottled him up rather effectively, but they could not control Cameron Lancaster all the way. It's not like he's had a plethora of chances, but the one he essentially generated himself, he put in the 31st minute. Back to the goal against Adewale. We've seen that one for a while, I know that. The Hounds' latest victim on Cameron Lancaster's reign of terror in the USL in 2018. He's now one away from 20, is Lancaster. Closing in on the golden boot. Holland, Joe Holland of England, former top 10 draft pick in the MLS. Wow, Lancaster just crushed Adewale in front of us here.
And that should be maybe another yellow card, but he's already got one, and he obviously...
He does, that's a good point.
It wasn't necessary to challenge that way, but obviously he does.
I'm sure John Hackworth, the coach of Louisville, was thinking about that when Lancaster just ran right through. Not sure about that play. Joe Holland. Holland has a good foot on him. If he gets an opening, he'll probably let it go.
Yeah. I'm sure Bob Lewis told anybody, get in that box, get on the edge, take some shots, create something.
Francois working his tail off as usual. Forbes, maybe he'll crack. He will, and miss. But it was deflected, as it turns out. I thought it might have changed direction right at the point of contact.
He did well there, Matt. I couldn't see with this block in the middle of the windows here. You picked up on that one. I missed it completely.
It happens here. Still working on getting this totally optimized at Highmark. Ranjit Singh, speaking of optimized, his game has been on point, taking these crosses, snatching them out of the atmosphere.
That, yeah, we should have got wise to that by now and stop doing these high balls into the box and take a short corner kick and have somebody like Francois going at somebody in the box and drawing people out and probably setting somebody up, but just not going that way.
I believe all 13 of the corner kicks have been swung into the mix.
Yeah.
Not even an outswinger, which
no.
might create something interesting, a different look. Doesn't have to be a short corner necessarily.
I think we've only got on the end of maybe 2 or 3 of them, and the rest of the keeper has just come out and picked off.
I talked to Bob Lilly about this a couple of weeks ago. In fact, I said, do you expect more out of the set pieces? And he said, well, we're not a particularly big team outside of Greenspan and maybe Hugh Roberts if he's in, and he's not. Romeo Parks at 6'3" would be another inviting target maybe, and the Riverhounds tried a couple of times in the first half with him. So yes, stature-wise, not perhaps the traditional set-piece team, but they've also left some on the field, no doubt about it, this season when it comes to restarts and converting those into goals. There just haven't been a lot, just 2, and both by Greenspan. Dan Lynn's going to have to roll this one out quickly. The Riverhounds have 7 minutes of regulation time, and then whatever stoppage may yield.
I don't think there's been much stoppage either, other than the substitution, so we're probably looking at only a couple of minutes so far now.
Yes, the subs probably saved the Hounds, and that's about it. Well, Nico Bredi had so many looks in the first half, but not much here in the second. Francois, can he create? He'll slide it through ball to Joe Holland. Holland right in there, but Jimenez heads it clear, at least to the far side of the field. And bashed up and out.
And whacked out.
It was Kyle Smith.
Oh, Zucker O'Neill there getting pushed all over the place. And
Dover wanted to win the ball. He couldn't. Feet collide, and the call goes against Pittsburgh there on the trip. And Bunkiazil shakes his head.
Yeah, they're getting no calls whatsoever here, and gets frustrating when that keeps happening to you too. You know, everybody like keeps deflating, and then we get it again, and then it deflates.
Out-of-town scoreboard, not much to affect the Riverhounds or Lou City. Holland's the only man here for this ball, but he whiffed on it, and then George Davis, maybe shocked that the ball even got to him, ended up playing a dodgy one out over the end line.
Yeah, he was looking there for a nice side footer, a little floaty back into the far post, because Lind was really close to the near post, so there was a space there. He just didn't connect on it right.
But anyway, out of town, we see Ottawa up 2-0 on Richmond. Ottawa's right on the borderline of the playoffs, and they're taking care of business on the road at City Stadium in Richmond, and it's 1-0 Tampa over Atlanta. 2 teams probably going to miss out on the postseason. Tomorrow, though, that's when the Hounds are going to have their antenna up with Penn FC in action. That'll be an opponent coming up for them, as well as Lou City. That's next for the champs. So a well-driven ball from Forbes to Holland. Holland
nice move
fakes to the inside, now cuts to the outside,
and we got a goal.
Friendly fire, Joe Holland just put it there, and that may be an own goal, and that's Sawaki, who just scored on the header at the other end.
Sawaki is the one that's been clearing these balls out over and over again, and he was trying to do it there, but it really didn't connect. Deflected it. Keeper still got a hand on it, but it went in the back of the net. This is a changing point right here, and this is where we have no choice but to really go at them and try and get another one right away.
Well, Holland may or may not get credit for the goal.
Oh, but
if he does, it's first as a Hound, but he created it. We were talking about swing balls in and see what happens if you get a bounce.
Yeah.
So Holland shoots to thrill here in the 86th minute. Smoke bombs are set off, and the Hounds can go to work just down 1. They have a few minutes with which to operate.
And it could be...
we haven't seen a miracle here in quite some time.
No, He's got everybody. He wants everybody to get up front now. Bob Lilly is getting on the case to get the ball up and into the box and create some chances again.
Well, Holland is energized. I was saying he was a former top 10 pick of the Houston Dynamo. Didn't get to finish that portion of the story. From Birmingham, England. He's made 9 appearances this season. Finally got back in the action last week as a sub. Similar type of a situation, in fact, except the Hounds were ahead. Played well, though, in that short stint. Interesting player with the potential there. Smith wants to cut against the grain. Adewale will have none of that. Toby misfired on the pass, though, to Holland. That cost the Riverhounds some valuable seconds.
And nobody's going to take the throw in. They're just going
to pass it back and forth. Jimenez, well, maybe he'll be the guy. He's looking for a man to cut to him. And he'll toss it in here to the substitute, Carranza. Carranza to George Davis. And a foul call there against Lou City.
Offside.
Or offside, pardon me. Yeah, the point was to the sideline. I was confused for a moment.
Yeah.
All right, so here's Thomas Vankiazil.
All guns forward here. But,
Brett's running. He heads it into open space. My goodness, Kay Banjo just trailing the play by a couple of yards. He was nearly there on the end of that.
Yeah, that was kind of a strange ball straight at him. It was going to be tough to do anything with it, for sure.
Banjo!
Oh!
Goal! Boy. Kay Banjo, and guess what? Was that deflected? They're going to give the Hounds a corner here, too.
What? I didn't see that deflection that time, and I was watching that. But Banjo had a great opportunity there. I thought that was going to sneak inside the post, and here's a corner kick.
Corner kick is an outswinger for once, and well, they finally changed up their strategy. Pittsburgh throw coming up.
And the keeper never came out this time. And
too far for him to go, he thought. Ranjitsingh under siege now suddenly. He might have, for a moment, thought that Banjo shot was going in. The Hounds have one back. Can they make it a second and at least pull a point away from this thing? They played so well in the first half, but Lou City has been draining the blood from this one for a while.
Yeah, for sure.
Adewale's in the corner of all people. It deflects in toward Ranjitsingh, who's going to be there. Holland will, but he has it scraped off his foot. And Forbes knocks it right back on his keeper, Lind, who's well up into the midfield area. 90th minute. Vankiazil slides through. Mohamed Dabo has a look at some things. Players running. Nico Brett pulls it down. He's run over.
It's a penalty kick.
It's a penalty kick for Pittsburgh.
I don't know. That was definitely a penalty. It took the referee a long time to kind of point at the spot. I don't know whether he was getting information from somebody else, but now, you know, that's a big turning point.
Carranza, the man down. He just checked into this game.
And Forbes taking the penalty kick.
How about this? We saw Nico Brett earlier in the year. Well, here's the replay. Dabo, what a ball, by the way.
Excellent
and Brett,
ball.
It was like Velcro was on his foot. And that's Jimenez, not Carranza, who ran him down.
He ran all over his back. There's no way.
Yeah, you can't not call that if you're the referee, .co.
It's definitely a penalty
So
kick.
a PK, plenty of protests, but the Riverhounds will have a chance to tie it up. Holland scored in the 86th minute. Greg Ranjitsingh, the keeper for Louisville, has stopped the PK this year, by the way. 3 minutes of stoppage coming up, but the Hounds, you'd figure, have to convert here to tie it. And the captain, Canardo Forbes, which way will he go? What will he do?
I think he's going to go for power more than anything. He's just got to make sure he doesn't hit it down the center of the net.
We're all going to find out together. That's the beauty of it. Everyone lined up on the 18 except for Forbes and Ranjitsingh. It's the classic one-on-one battle. And this could be the most thrilling finish of the year at Highmark Stadium.
And players have got to follow this one in just in case there's any kind of a save and a rebound or anything. So
Ranjitsingh, one of the top keepers in the league. Canardo Forbes approaches. Right foot, goal!
Oh, well taken. Penalty kick.
He stands up next to a mountain. He chops it down with the edge of his hand. Canardo Forbes knocks it at 2 in second half stoppage, and the Riverhounds have come all the way back.
well-taken penalty there, Matt. He just confidently strode up, and he was checking out the goalkeeper. And I think just before he hit it, he just made sure he was going to the right, and he slotted the ball into the left of the keeper. And
Ranjitsingh had to guess, as most keepers do, and he guessed incorrectly. And it was placed into the right third of the net, you'll say. Not quite tucked in the corner, but Forbes struck it well. And clinical stuff from Canardo. Forbes, his third goal of the season. First from the spot. It's the Riverhounds' first conversion from the spot in USL play this year. They're 1 for 3. Banjo and Brett had missed, so I guess they were just going to keep passing the duty along until someone scored. And they did. Not over, by the way. Smokes in the air from the Steel Army.
And Louisville coming right at the Hounds. They want to get this win. Obviously, it's important to them as well, but
both teams need points. Dan Lind.
Now here's an opportunity. We can push right up here, and I'm sure there's only like 2 minutes at the most left.
Well, 3 was added on, but then they're going to add more, you would imagine, because of the PK.
Yeah, and then they took this center kick real quickly and just whacked it over the goal and wasted more time.
Romeo Park still working hard over there on that right side.
Yeah.
Not quite a miracle, but this is the craziest reversal we've seen this year in a Riverhounds match. Oh boy, Adewale was falling down and had to clear it with his left foot, and he did. And
referee not calling that.
Yes, the referee, Dotko, let a lot go over there by the Monongahela River, and the fans in those river seats knew this year. Had their arms extended upward. No foul called there, and the Hounds get the benefit of that doubt.
Come on, Nico.
Here's Nico. Brett working 1v4, though. He needs some help. Brett, who missed 3 chances in the first half.
And there's Francois.
Cristiano Francois. Louisville on its back foot at the moment. Francois to the byline.
Oh, and it's a corner kick.
And will they have a chance to kick it?
Definitely. Gotta let him take it for sure.
A yellow card's coming up here, too.
Another yellow card.
A yellow card issued here.
This must be a sportsmanlike conduct. They're yelling at the referee because of the game.
Well, this might be the final chance for either side.
Oh, it definitely is, I think, Matt. And if we could capitalize on this, what a way to finish this game. But even just coming back.
They've missed on so many corners. It's to the front post. Skitters wide. Bouncing toward
and that's the end of the game.
That's all.
And here's
from
another
Highmark
yellow
Stadium,
card.
And there will be more. It appears discipline, or maybe not. The referee, Dotko, is trying to usher the Louisville players off the pitch. They're probably still complaining about the penalty kick, I would imagine.
And the referee's got his hand in his back pocket, and I think he's going to pull out another card now because somebody just yelled at him again. And
well, Paul, as you said, there's no choice but to call that penalty.
No.
We're looking at Louisville's Kyle Smith getting a yellow card. Big thanks to Ryan Rose down in the Vista Studios for spotting for us. It's tough to tell from this angle. The Riverhounds come back. Let's not bury the lead. They score twice after the 85th minute to pull a point back against the champs, Louis City.
That's a brilliant thing. It's great to see. We haven't seen that all season, and it's fantastic to see the team really just rally there. And all it took was that one opportunity by Holland, driving that ball hard and low across the box, which we've been looking for in the second half. And the defender miskicking it on his own goal, and the keeper getting a hand on it too, and going in. And then the change around. The panic started once we were driving the balls into the box, and Nico Brett did a great job of taking that player on and getting tripped.
Well, a fun time for the fans here. That is the kind of draw that feels like a win if you're Pittsburgh, and just the opposite for Louisville City. We'll take a break, take a breath, and come back and try to recap this one. A wild swing at the end. The Riverhounds get a point, and Lou City has to settle for a point here in Pittsburgh. Stay with us on ESPN+.
The Riverhounds Technical Training Academy is back this winter at the AHN Sports Complex at Cool Springs. The 15-session program runs from December to March and is loaded with skills development taught by professional players from around the world. Registration opens in August. Sessions begin December 1st. Find out more by emailing wintertraining@riverhounds.com or by calling 412-325-7238.
It's so unfair. You just feel stripped of being a woman, not being able to have a child. Or they had told me that I can't have kids naturally. It was just like waterworks.
Yeah, what's it like being pregnant?
But it's an amazing thing to know that I don't have all of the things to make a baby, but I still made this baby.
I mean, it really is a miracle.
Seriously.
Call 412 Doctors for an appointment with a fertility expert at Allegheny Health Network.
Team talk for the Hounds. That group's got to be rather elated with how they were able to nab a point here at the death of the game. Joe Holland, I'm not sure they're going to give him the goal. I don't know if they did actually have to check the box score.
I don't think so.
But he crossed one and ended up getting knocked in the 86th minute, and then Canardo Forbes, a stoppage time PK. Doesn't get any more dramatic, or doesn't get much more dramatic than that. So there you see it, 2-2. Bobby Lee's talking it over with his group. As for John Hackworth and Lou City, it's wandering off the pitch. Let's go to the highlights, and all the way back in the first half, the Riverhounds had the better of play, and here's an example of that. Forbes stealing and ends up on the foot of Brett in the box.
Yeah, great run by Brett, and just touching that ball, as we said before, a little bit too wide and having to really stretch to try and get it back into the net, and gave the defenders time to get back and clear it out.
Paco Craig cleared it, and you're about to see Paco in a moment. One more look, though, at the close call. Brett, 3 shots on frame. Twice non-keepers stopped him, so that's his kind of night here. He's kept off the board this evening. How about Cameron Lancaster? The Riverhounds couldn't keep him off the board. That's really his only good look of the night. And he makes something from nothing.
Yeah, he really did make something out of nothing. And I think, as we said, Lynn was a kind of like, didn't see that ball until the last second, so couldn't get across. But that ball hit the inside of the post, I think, so it was difficult for him to even get to anyway. This is a great cross by Romeo Parks.
Parks was crossing well. He was attacking well. Brett twice. Ranjitsingh. Brett just couldn't get it down and off that turf. That might have helped him there.
It really would have, Matt. Yeah, if he could have got down on and headed into the bottom right-hand corner, because the keeper was already coming across. Got to be frustrating for Nico Brett. And here's a great save here by Lind. Just gets his hand there in time, because that could have hit the crossbar and come back into play and created another chance for Lancaster or anybody else who was there waiting in the box.
Well, yeah, it could have easily been 2-0 at that point, but then, you know what, it became 2-0. George Davis, the fourth,
nice
as we get a look at that, to Craig, and then Swaki, center back to center back, header goal, and the Riverhounds could not regroup. They got caught cheating a bit on the counter.
They got drawn to the ball, you know, they were ball watching and kind of got pulled that way and didn't realize there was players behind them, and got a free one. Here's Holland with a great, a great hard low cross, and the defender just trying to clear it out, and it just deflects off his foot and goes the wrong direction, and the keeper even got a hand on it too, but that's what brought the Hounds back into it.
And here's what brought them level. First, Brett taking the ball from Dabo and run down by Oscar Jimenez. Canardo Forbes got the call from the spot, and you could say he buried it. He definitely did, right into the waiting arms of the fans. It appears there. The Steel Army elated. It was 2-2, an 86-minute goal and a 90-plus minute goal. There you see possession time. The Hounds piled that up in the second half when they were trailing. But 14-3 the shots. It's really impressive against a Lou City team that had won 4 in a row on the road to control the game to this degree. I don't care home or away. Against the champs, that's got to feel good, even though you don't get all 3 points.
I'm sure all the Hounds and the players, and Bob Lilly is still out there talking to the players, and I'm sure that he's very, very happy with that way we fought back and kept on penetrating, and finally broke the glass and got into the net, and he's got to be really happy.
Yeah, it did feel like there was a glass panel over the over the 24x8. Didn't matter which side, as long as Ranjitsingh was in front of it. And you know what? We talked about the stakes coming into this one. If the Hounds don't get that equalizing goal, they're suddenly falling behind Lou City, and well, possibly even in Charleston by the time they take the field next week against Indy 11. There you see the Hounds 0-3-3 when the opponent scores 2, but the Riverhounds are actually 3-1-3 when the opponent scores first. So they've been able to rally. They've gotten 3 victories in that case. And here you see they stay a couple of points ahead of Blue City because of that result. So critical stuff. And that may have just locked up a home playoff game down the line. Who knows? 1 or 2, or we'll see how things play out. But put a star next to this result is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, no, excellent game for the fans. I think everybody went home really happy and pleased, just the way the team rallied and came back and had some great chances.
There you see Cincy way ahead, but Pittsburgh at 50, Charleston at 48, Blue City at 48, and Indy 11, don't forget about them. They're just 5 points behind. So yeah, another pivotal match coming up next Saturday. And as for Louisville, a little bit of good, a little bit of bad under their new head coach, John Hackworth, and maybe tonight's emblematic of some of the good things they've done and some of the bad things they've done. And they're treading water right now, but they'll have an opportunity to get back on top of things next week, in the middle of the week, in fact. Pittsburgh, they'll be back at it in 7 days' time. Right here, we'll have the call on ESPN+. Gene Klein will be alongside myself and Paul Child. And that'll be a terrific, another maybe possible playoff preview here at the end of the regular season.
Definitely.
And as we said, Louisville against Penn at the middle of the week at FNB Field in Harrisburg. Time to step aside. What a fun evening it ended up being, especially for the home fans. Blue City scores the first 2, Pittsburgh scores the last 2. Good night from Highmark Stadium.
Good night.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer